Okay, so here's an example of how to use Python PyODBC, which is very slow in my opinion. So we're going to create a file called insert using PYODBC. We're going to use this test database from the last example. So in the last example we have whatever, right? So I'm going to delete the data. There's no data. So our test table is now empty. So going back to Python, we're now going to import two libraries. So the first one is import PyODBC. And the next one is the pandas. Okay, so first thing first, make your connection, and this here is how the connection string looks like. Boom. Next thing we need to is we need to read our data frame file, so pd.read. So I'm using the output file. Sheet would be the first sheet, and then yes, I want a header. So let's open up that sheet first. And in this file, there is 4 columns. This column here has a space between source and ID, and this one doesn't. This here is going to be a trouble column because it's a space, and I'll get there to now. In our database, the source ID has an underscore. So, like the previous example, we need to rename our column that has a space to have a, what do you call it, underscore. So we are just taking the data frame, renaming the column, source space ID. We're going to rename it to source underscore ID. And then we're going to open up our database connection using the cursor. Just like Microsoft SQL Server, cursor is very slow. So to speed up our cursor, we use the fast execute many is equal to true. So when you write a statement in Python, it actually, let's say an insert statement, there's 5 rows. It's actually creating 5 separate insert statements and sending it to SQL, hence the slowness. So we're going to go through a loop for row in data frame dot iterate row cursor. Now we're going to execute the SQL script. So insert into test source underscore ID field value row number, and then the values will be just like SSIS, ADO.NET. There's 4 fields, so we're going to leave the 4 question mark, and then we're going to insert our question mark values are from here, row dot source ID row dot attribute, and then I want to just turn this one into a string just in case there's integers in there that Python's going to send over, and I don't want it to blow up, so I'm just going to force it to be an integer, and then we have a row number. And then we're going to commit, and then close the cursor. Okay. There. So it wrote something. So we go back to our database, we hit select test, and there's our data. And that's how you use the PYODBC, because it has to send, for every row, it's an insert. So without this, it is slow, but with it, it does help improve the performance. But I would prefer using the SQL Alchemy over PYODBC. Hope this helps, and thanks for watching.